Hi, everybody. Welcome again to Wingman Wisdom. I am the RV Wingman, Alan Warren, a former campground owner, lifelong lover of the great outdoors and anything and everything that has to do with connecting with nature. Because I think connecting with nature helps connect us with our Creator. But that's just what I think. But welcome to today's video. A couple of days ago, I mentioned maybe last week, I showed you my dog Pedro, right? Pedro. And I love dogs. If you're a dog lover, we share that in common. I love my pets, every single one of them. And I came across some stuff recently I want to mention to you that's not good. If you care about pets, if you care about animals, stick around because I'm gonna kind of finish up with that. Before I get started though, I want to remind everybody that I put together this free RV report. It is a report, one for buyers who want to buy an RV, one for sellers who want to sell their RV. These are reports that I, in conjunction with the people that I do work with, have put together. And there's some things in those reports, one for buyers, one for sellers, that dealers don't want you to know. I promise you, they don't want you to know. They want you to blindly just go in and have them help you put that noose around your neck. Not all of them, but too many of them. These reports were designed to help you if you're selling your RV. What's the best way to sell it? How do you sell it without taking a bath? What's the right price? How to avoid scams? It's not an everything report, but it is free and you can download it. You can view it online. All you have to do is if you are watching on your smartphone or on a tablet or your home computer, click on the word more right here down in the description, and then it will take you to freervreport.com. It's a very, very simple website. It's just basically one page to provide this information. If you're watching on TV, grab your cell phone, text the word report to 38470. I promise I've done my best to keep it concise. It's not, as I say, it's not a super sexy report, but I think there's some nuggets of information that can really help prevent you from wasting a lot of money, wasting a lot of time, and avoiding some unnecessary mistakes. All right, so I am getting a little bit of pushback on my comments about young men and how many young men in our country are living at home with mommy and daddy. I know times are tough. I do, and I'm not trying to criticize. I'm trying to observe and give you things, as you know, on Wingman Wisdom to help you think, just to help you ponder, open your mind a little bit. I try to keep my mind open, and I'm willing to change my mind based upon the evidence that I see and my gut. It's not just things I see, but I got to have a good gut. The combination of both helps me determine where I am, and I am always open to new ideas. So going back to the young men that are living at home, I think multi-generations of people, parents living with their grandparents, living with the kids, grandkids, I love that idea. I do, but only if there's that word called respect that's in the mix. When an adult, who still lives with mommy and daddy, and they're doing it not to help, but to be a mooch, to take as much as they can. Yes, wait till the time gets right to go out and find that big old high-paying job. When they do that, I'm not for that. If families, and I know that the economy is changing, and I believe that more and more people nowadays and in the future are going to go, you know what, maybe we ought to live with mom and dad. And if you can do that and y'all can get along and work together as a family unit with that word called respect, I think it's a good idea, something to consider. I think more and more people are going to be doing it. I hope they do it for the right ideas. But again, let me go over to the shared screen and show you some things that kind of, I don't know, they just bother me about too many things. I'd like to know your thoughts. So let's go ahead and jump over there now. This recent story says, as the cost of living skyrockets, nearly 1 in 3 adults rely on their parents for financial support. More than half of parents with adult children, more than half, said their kids are living with them. Another 48% said that they pay their kids' cell phone plan, car payments, or other monthly bills. Nearly a quarter also said they provide their adult children with a regular allowance, pay some or all of their rent, or have them as an authorized user on their credit card. Yes, I did do this. I have shown this article before, but there's a reason for me showing it. First off, a lot of people didn't watch that previous video. Secondly, I think it's important to mention this, just to see a trend. I don't think that this would have happened 25 years ago, not even 20 years ago. Multi-generational households can be a way to save. During the pandemic, the number of adults moving back in with their parents often referred to as boomerang kids, temporarily spiked due to, or it was a historic high, is what it says. Again, I believe that it's a good idea to at least consider moving in with your parents if you can pull your weight. Don't go on and be a leech. Don't go in there and be a mooch. The other thing is, parents, don't let them do that. It's just my thought. I think that our kids are more resilient. I think they're tougher than they even think they are. That unless they're stressed, unless they're forced to stretch and try new things, they won't have any idea about the wings that God gave them. They need to exercise those wings, exercise it in responsibility. If they're responsible and want to move back home to take care of the family unit and keep y'all together, I get it and I support it. But when 1 in 3 is supporting their child and 48% of these young men are living at home still with mommy and daddy, I don't think it's because they want to take care of their mom and dad. I think it's because mom and dad are taking care of them. Again, just my thoughts. I would love to know what you think. Here's another story right here that just blows my mind. Adults are buying toys for themselves. It's the biggest source of growth for the industry. There are two things keeping the toy industry afloat right now: inflation and a consumer group known as kidults. These kids at heart are responsible for 1/4 of all toy sales annually, around $9 billion worth, and are the biggest driver of growth throughout the industry, according to data from the NPD group. Kidults. I think there's a kid that lives in each of us. At least I hope there is. You know, I'm nearing 70 years old, and there's a kid that lives in me that likes to come out and do silly things sometimes. But a kidult, a new word? When did that word get invented? I think it got invented recently as a group of young people who was raised to, well, you don't have to work. You just sit back and take your check. Get your student loan. You'll pay for it someday. Believe me, you will pay it back someday. But this generation of people that has had everything pretty much given to them in an easy way has lived in adolescence. And that's why they're called kidults. Again, not trying to make anybody mad. It's just my observation. What do you see? Why do you see this new category called kidults? And do you think that these kidults are ever going to be those things called adults? I don't know. Let me know what you think. Let's see, it goes down. It says the definition of adulthood has definitely evolved, says Jeremy Padower, Chief Brand Officer at a toy company, Jazzwares. What it used to mean to be an adult was to be a very upstanding, serious member of society. And to do that, you had to demonstrate it intellectually, emotionally, in every other single way. Now we feel a lot more free to express our fandom as a part of our adulthood. Do you see this as a trend? Do you see it? Maybe you don't see it at all, but apparently it is a trend. Young men not working. In fact, the number of men in the United States of America that are of working age, working eligible men, has never been lower than it is right now. Why is that? Why is that? We've got parents who are paying bills for their children and children who are buying toys, kidults who are buying toys for themselves. But guess what that's getting them? Let's look at this next one. Young adults are particularly vulnerable to delinquencies. 1 in 5 have debt and collections. 1 in 5 young adults, nearly 1 in 5 adults between the ages of 18 and 24 with a credit record in the U.S. currently have debt and collections. Can you imagine that? How do you get out when you start out life and you are already behind? How do you catch up? 18 to 24-year-olds with this enormous amount of credit card debt. It continues, it says, overall credit card balances are surging, up 15% in the most recent quarter, the largest annual jump in more than 20 years. At the same time, credit card rates are now over 19% on average, an all-time high and still rising. But for new applicants for credit, APRs are typically even higher, as much as 30%, according to Ted Rossman, senior industry analyst at bankrateandcreditcards.com. Oh my gosh, how bad is that? Do you see a problem developing here? I know that the haters out there, and by the way, you haters, I appreciate you, and I don't hate you. I do respect you, and I appreciate you being civil towards me. I'm not wearing a tinfoil hat. Maybe I need to cover up my bald spot. But I think that I am not right-wing. I'm not left-wing. I try to be rational. I don't pretend to be a doctor on TV. I don't pretend to be what I'm not, but I do pretend to have some wisdom. I do pretend to be logical and rational. And that's why I suggest that you try and do. Pretend to be smart. I know I'm not smart, but I try to be logical and rational. And when I see things like these stories, I have to connect the dots. That's the way my mind works. I don't want to see this. I don't want to know that 1 in 5 18 to 24-year-olds that has a credit card has their account in delinquency. And they're paying 19 to 30% interest. How will they ever get ahead in life? Okay, let me move on to my passion. One of my passions is my dogs. They're my family. I've got 3 of them. I've got Pedro, Napoleon, and Happy. They're all little chihuahuas. They all are, they have their different personalities, but I love each and every one of them. As a campground owner, I had this fondness for everybody's dog because I'm a dog lover. At the same time, I expect dog owners to be responsible, to keep their dogs or pets on a leash, to pick up the big dirty after they go, to stop their barking, put them away so they don't bark after hours or before daylight. Be a responsible pet owner. And so I'm looking around, I'm seeing the economy falling apart. And you know what? There are many victims to this economy. Many people are out of work. But guess what? As you saw previously, a lot of these people are living back at home with mommy and daddy. What's going to happen when these people can't afford to feed their pets? And it's happening. I pulled some stories to show you how bad this epidemic is, and it's all over the country. It's not just in my home state of Texas. I think Texas has got more shelters, and the shelters are blowing up faster than any other part of the country. I could be wrong. But every single state has got too many pets in shelters. Why? People are abandoning their pets. When they were lonely during the pandemic, when everything was shut down, they went and the adoption rate at these shelters was going through the roof. Yay, I want a pet. Except they only thought as long as the money comes in, it's a convenient thing to have a pet. And now that times are tough, they're like, oh my gosh. You take your animal to the shelter, and guess what the shelter says? There ain't no room in the inn. I've done it. I found an animal not long ago at my storage building. That was the sweetest, cutest little dog, and obviously it belonged to somebody. I couldn't keep it. I brought it over. I tried to call the owner. The owner wouldn't respond. I called the shelter, said, I don't want it killed. I'll write you a check. Just don't kill it. Somebody will call for this thing. It's a good dog. Sorry, sir. We've got maybe a 6-week waiting list. 6 weeks to get a dog adopted. Thank God I was able to find the owner. But how many people are letting their dogs go? Let's jump over here and look at another story, shall we? Some pet owners say high inflation is the reason they're giving up their pets. Just like I said, animal shelters across the country are seeing more and more people surrendering their pets due to high inflation. They just don't want to take care of them. This is interesting, I found. According to the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, for one dog, annual food, grooming, supplies, and medical care cost is roughly between $500 and $1,000 for a dog. For a cat, it's $650, while surprise veterinary care can cost thousands more. Oh boy, you taking your dog to the vet for an injury, broken leg or a cut or some kind of an infection, you know how fast the bills can add up. Isn't that part of being responsible when you go to the shelter and you adopt the dog? Or is it just you're going to buy a bag of dry food and go, there you go, sure love you? I don't know. I don't know if people are looking far enough ahead or if you can ever get them to look far enough ahead. I love my dogs. I love them. When they hurt, I hurt. Nobody loves me like my dogs love me. My wife doesn't love me like my dog loves me. She probably shouldn't. My dogs aren't smart enough to not love me sometimes, but they love me all the time, probably like your dogs love you. And it saddens me to see people that just, well, you know what? Tough stuff. Rover, you're on your own. And when the shelter won't take them, what do? They just let them roam the streets. Here's another one. Animal shelters say they're beyond capacity as more people give up their pets due to soaring inflation. This was in December. Rising inflation means people are having to give up their pets that they can't afford, animal shelters say. Animal shelters are facing higher costs, fewer donations, as well as more mouths to feed. Facing a looming recession, they might have to turn animals away that depend on us for survival. Many animal shelters across the U.S. are filled to capacity or beyond, according to the Best Friends for Animal Society. It continues. It says, Tammy Barker, and this is from Wyoming, and it's not just about dogs. Tammy Barker, the shelter's assistant, told Insider, when the economy is struggling and people are unsure of their financial stability, they don't donate to nonprofits like the Cat House on the Kings. In the face of a likely recession in 2023, the outlook is bleak. We will have to turn away animals that depend on us for survival. Julie Castle, Chief CEO of Best Friends Animal Society, said some shelters have started to provide pet food pantries to give out food. The pandemic kick-started a wave of these donation-based pantries, finding a silver lining in an otherwise tumultuous time. Sometimes a bag of food, pet food, makes all the difference, blah, 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 blah. That was Wyoming. The first one I read to you was from Texas. But the shelters are blowing up. They're exploding. The donations are going down. The economy, people can't donate to a shelter like they used to. So the donations are going down. The number of adoptions is going down. The pressure from animals that need to be adopted is going up. What's going to happen? You know what's going to happen. What's going to happen is the unthinkable sadness that an irresponsible pet owner would either let their animal run on the street until it gets run over, or get it back to a shelter, and the shelter gives it a while, and if it can't get adopted, what happens? Well, it goes to pet heaven, goes to doggy heaven, or kitty heaven. That kills me. It kills me. Irresponsible human beings kill me, but irresponsible human beings that took a dog out of their own choosing, or a cat of their own choosing, then neglect it, it's wrong. If they won't even take care of their own, how are they going to be respectful to their neighbor? How are they going to do that? That's what I saw in the campground all the time. Most dog owners are pretty, they're not perfect, but they're pretty responsible. They're pretty sensitive. They're pretty thoughtful of others. Not all the time, maybe, but most of the time. Some dog owners, they couldn't care less about anybody but them. They don't even care about their dog. And it's evidenced by these stories. Last one about dogs, I'm going to wrap it up. This one is from Houston, Texas. It says, Houston's overrun bark animal shelter is euthanizing more animals due to a major drop in adoptions. They're killing them, folks. They're killing them. Houston's bark shelter, that's what they call it down there in Houston, has already euthanized more animals in 2022 than it did in all of 2021. According to and this was back in October when this came out. According to the most recent data released by Bark, September 30th, the shelter has put down 1,556 dogs and cats since the beginning of the year, surpassing its 2021 total of 1,026. By now, it's probably doubled. It's really sad. It's sad for me to see, and I know it's for most of you. That's sad. Well, that's the way it is. It is the way it is. Couple things. If you have dogs, if you have pets, how much food do you have in storage for them? I call it my apocalypse room. If things go to hell, I've got things for me. I got medications, I got water, I got food, I can last. Guess what? So can my pets. I have stockpiled. I've got 6 months worth of food for my 3 little ankle biters. 6 months worth. Every time I go to the grocery store, it's like, you know what, I'm going to need a couple of cases of extra food just in case. And there's not much food there. How many people just have just enough and they're going to get some more the next time they go to the grocery store? What's going to happen if we have another supply chain issue like the baby formula thing? Well, we can't get you dog food. Oh, that could never happen. Nah. Well, just keep doing what you're doing. But I won't. I protect things I love. I try to communicate with people about things that I think are important. They may not be important to you. Oh, wingman, you know, keep that tinfoil hat and keep on preaching all that right-wing stuff. I'm just trying to preach stuff about responsibility and honesty. I love animals. I love people. I'm trying to help people by sharing a little bit of wisdom. If you're new to the channel, you've made it this far, congratulations. If you're young, a double congratulations, because most young people won't watch this. I did a video recently about the NFL football player that collapsed, and I think I called it NFL Nightmare was the title of the video. And one person commented, says, I came on here to find RV knowledge, and here you are talking about football. I'm like, wait a minute. The title says NFL Nightmare. Doesn't say RV stuff. Why would you come here if it's an NFL nightmare? Just something to think about. I know I'm not a very smart guy. I ask a lot of questions. I have a lot of why questions, and I don't know the answers to them. But I'm trying to figure it out. I hope that you're trying to do the same. Thank you for watching today's video. Want to remind you that the free RV report is going to be evolving over time. And I've already got some other things I'm adding to it. But this is a really good start. If you're trying to sell your RV, buy an RV. There's 2 different reports. In those reports, I tell you how to think like the other person. How to get, if you're selling your RV, how to get inside the mind of the buyer. If you're trying to buy an RV, how you get in the mind of the seller. I'm trying to teach you these things, at least some things to think about. What can it hurt? Doesn't cost you anything. If you click on the word more in the description below, you'll be able to get the link that'll take you to freervreport.com. Watch it on TV, pick up your cell phone, and text the word report. REPORT. That's it. The number is 38470. 38470. I know, it's like, that ain't a phone number. It's not a phone number, but it is a number and it does work. So text report to 38470. Thank you for watching. I know went a little bit long today. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about these men that we can't get the young men to get out and go to work. Let me know what you think about pets. If you have an opportunity to stock up food for your pets, and if you can, donate some food to your local pet shelter. I promise you, they will welcome you with open arms. Again, thank you for watching. I'm Alan Warren, the RV Wingman. Be safe, have fun, play nice, and don't leave your good manners at home. I'll see you next time.